If you've ever had a grow go perfectly and then did everything the exact same way, same setup, same process, but you still got completely different results, that's one of the most frustrating parts of growing mushrooms. And a lot of times it really just comes down to genetics. Now, what if there was a way you could take a mushroom that grew absolutely perfect and just copy it so you could grow pounds and pounds of that specific mushroom? Well, today I'm going to show you how to do exactly that, but we're going to have to be careful because there's one part of this process that I continually messed up when I was a beginner. When you start a mushroom grow from spores or even non-isolated cultures, you don't get the same mushroom every time. So you get variation. Some might be bigger, some smaller, some a different color, some a different taste, and some just turn out absolutely perfect. And that's exactly why mushroom growing results can really start to feel random. Fortunately, however, once you find a mushroom you really like, you don't need to roll the dice anymore. We can clone that mushroom to grow it time and time again. This is actually a block I made a few months ago using this exact method. It's just now starting to fruit, and I really can't wait for my shiitake feast. There's just something really cool about being able to grow your own food or medicine from something as simple as this. Now, getting everything set up properly is one of the main keys to avoiding contamination, so let's get ready. For this process, you really only need a few basic things, and while it might sound technical, it's really simple once you see it. As always, we want to keep the air around us clean, so we're going to want to either do this inside a still air box or in front of a laminar flow hood. Next, we're going to need a mushroom to clone. For this, you can use something you've grown yourself, you found in the wild, or in my case today, I'm using something I bought from the store. In my experience here, the fresher the mushroom, the better this process will work. We're also going to need a couple agar plates. I showed how I make these in last week's video, and if you haven't seen that yet, I'm going to link it in the description below. And the last two things we're going to need here are just some 70% isopropyl alcohol and some tweezers. Most of the work here doesn't require anything too fancy. It's really just some basic skills and sanitation. Okay, let's jump into the actual process. This cloning process is only going to take a minute or two, but the steps need to be done carefully to avoid contamination. I'll begin, of course, by wiping everything down with alcohol. I'll spray my gloves, a paper towel, I'll wipe down my agar plates, I'm going to soak my tweezers in a little cup of alcohol, and I'm even going to spray the mushroom that I'm taking the sample from. When I used to do this process in a still air box, I like to throw down a couple extra paper towels on the surface and just really douse them in alcohol, so I have this like alcohol soaked paper towel on the floor of my still air box to just serve as like my workspace. For today's video, I'm just going to be using a shiitake, but once again, this process works for pretty much any mushroom. Now, we want to assume the outside of this mushroom is completely covered in contaminants, because honestly, it probably is. And this is the part that I continually messed up when I was first learning how to clone mushrooms. But alas, I made those mistakes, so you don't have to. So we can't just cut right into the mushroom. If we cut into the mushroom, we're going to be taking all those contaminants that are on the outside of the mushroom, and as we slice through to the middle of it, that knife or scalpel or whatever you use, it's just going to be sliding and pushing those contaminants all along that fresh inner mushroom tissue that we want to protect. Now, we can't very well take a sample of fresh mushroom if it's now been contaminated by our dirty blade. So the alternative is pretty simple. All we need to do is just tear the mushroom in half. This is going to expose all that fresh, clean tissue that we want to get our hands on. Well, don't actually touch it with your hands. And if you've never torn a mushroom in half, you might be surprised by just how easily they tear. Except reishi. That's this one in the top of my tent right here. That thing is really hard to tear. So with our mushroom torn open, I'm going to pull out my tweezers and kind of set them on the edge of my jar here so they can dry for a second. Then I'm going to uncap my agar plate. I'm going to take my tweezers and I'm just going to remove a tiny little piece of mushroom and place it in the middle of the plate. You really don't need a lot here. A small piece just like this will do fine. Once you drop it onto the agar, close your lid and make sure you label your plate. When I'm working with agar, at a minimum, I like to put 2 samples on different plates. That way, if one plate contaminates or one plate's growing way stronger, I have multiple options to choose from. Now, the actual tissue transfer is done, which is great, but the hard part is really what comes next. Like I said a moment ago, after the transfer, it's really important to label your plates. I like to include what it is and the date of transfer. It might seem unnecessary at first, but once you have more than a couple plates going, you're never going to be able to keep track of what's what. Now, if you saw my last video, you already know to do this, but if not, After you label your plate, go ahead and flip it upside down. This will prevent any condensation from dripping down onto our culture. Now, depending on how fresh your mushroom was, you might not see any growth for a couple of days. That's fine, but after 3 to 4 days, you should start seeing these hair-like white strands emerging from your sample, and by a week or so, those white strands should probably be approaching the edge of the plate. That's how you know it's working. Now, ideally, you want to see clean, symmetrical, uniform growth. Now, this is something interesting worth mentioning. Take a look at this plate right here. This is the same clone I took after a few days. Now check out this plate. Notice the difference. This one looks way more aggressive, thicker, stronger, like it's growing faster. But that doesn't actually mean it's better. It's just a different growth pattern. This one came from spores, which means at this stage, you really don't know what you're working with yet. The downside, of course, is when you're using spores, you're kind of playing the genetic lottery. You don't know what you're gonna get. Your mushrooms could be great, or they could kind of suck. On the other hand, with our mushroom clone, we know exactly what we're getting. Now, if something does go wrong, which it probably almost definitely will if you're new to working with agar, it's going to show up in a few different ways. You probably already know contamination will show up as some weird colors. You might have green or blue or black or red even, or it's going to be growth that just looks off. Take this plate for instance. It looks pretty good, right? Wrong. You see these two little colonies over here? Normal, healthy mycelium is going to grow from that central source. It won't be forming little satellite colonies like this. And this is actually almost guaranteed to be contamination, despite its innocent look. If it's not like nice, bright, white mycelium, or you see something growing on the edge of the plate far away from where you put your culture, you might see some little random bumps starting to form on the surface of your agar. Those are usually signs that some contaminants got onto the plate. If you see those signs, the easiest things to do are either toss the plate or cut out a clean section from the plate and move it onto a new plate. That's a process known as cleaning up agar. Make sure you give yourself some grace here because contamination happens to literally everyone at some point. Now, once you have clean growth like this, you can really do a lot with it. You can use it to inoculate grain jars, transfer to agar to expand it, or even make your own liquid culture so you don't have to buy any more from me. Visit happymycelium.com today for all your liquid culture needs. If you do decide to go ahead and transfer some of this agar to one of those mediums, you normally want to look for the outer, most aggressively growing edge. That's generally going to be the healthiest part of the culture and the part that I always try to transfer. Now, one thing to keep in mind here is that cloning isn't forever. Like I kind of started to mention a moment ago, if you clone the same mycelium over and over again, eventually it's going to start to slow down and age. And that's where spores can kind of come into play and serve as a genetic refresh. But that's a problem for later. Right now you have everything you need to stop starting over and build from grows that actually work. Now, if you're ready to take this colonized agar and turn it into your very own liquid culture, be sure to check out this video right over here for my latest recipe. And with that, I bid you adieu. Happy growing.